and because they've synchronized with the herd, and they can push harder and go farther than they can alone. And if you take that exact same person, give him the exact amount of weight, when he's alone, he's not as strong. So that shows that when we get into this group, we amplify our energy. And I've also said that when we, for example, throw my arm wave across the classroom, the human body will reflect that pattern of energy going through us, and instead of dulling it, it actually amplifies it. So whatever I'm saying, let's say vocal energy, actually goes through the energy fields of everybody here, and you amplify that message if you resonate with it. If it's something that you're opposed to, of course, you'll probably disintegrate it. But if it's something that you resonate with, then you continue with it. Now, we also have the bizarre thing of neural mirroring. So when two people are communicating and they are connected and they show empathy to each other and compassion, they actually start to mirror neurons. So what happens is you can be entrained by being in the presence of somebody else, because as you understand what they're saying, your brain is mirroring what their neurons are doing. So when a teacher is teaching you, in your brain, you're actually flaring, hopefully the same way he is, if you're resonating and understanding the material. You see how that works? So when we get in groups and we start all doing that together, it amplifies the effect that it would otherwise have if you were just one person. So you get one person with a field, you get a group of people generating a field. Now you're getting fields around what? What is that? It's a consciousness field, it's a field around groups. You tell me. But what it is anyway is a field. And if you continue, which things always do, up in greater and greater scale, you get a field for me, you get a field for the classroom, you get a field for the city, you get a field for the planet. And what I would say is that field for the planet is probably the Schumann field. The Schumann field happens to resonate at exactly the same frequency as the human brain. So it exists around the planet. So we have our planet, we have the Schumann field outside, and we actually have another field going in the opposite direction underneath the Earth. Now this is what Tesla would have used to generate electricity from, which is the concept behind the coils in the Earth. So you stick a big coil in the Earth, and you swing magnets around it, and it's pulling this this current that exists under the just under the surface of the Earth. You're pulling it up into this coil, and you're getting useful electricity, useful voltage out of it. So what I would say is that we are all participants in this Schumann field, and that from this is where all creative ideas and inspiration comes from. And as the human brain, which I would describe more as a biological fractal antenna, which allows you to resonate and sense different frequencies for different purposes, when it resonates at the right frequency, or when it adjusts to the right frequency, it adjusts to the right frequency in the Schumann field, and you download and are inspired to do whatever it is you're inspired to do. So you resonate with the concept of truth, justice, and freedom, we'll say. Well, because you resonate with those values, you're downloading information that is being constantly amassed in the collective unconscious, and it's out there creating these random patterns, maybe not random, maybe more intentional, but these patterns of thought and inspiration and artistic ability and creative thought in all forms. And what each individual is more of a channel for that information, not the originator of that information. We are all the originator of the content that exists in the Schumann field. This is why I say we exist in a traumatized planet. Because most of the information that's going up into the Schumann field for most of the world is trauma, is pain, is hunger, is misery, is all these different things. And what will rapidly change the planet is as we change individually, consciousness-wise, it affects the type of energy we're inputting to and taking from the Schumann field. Follow so far? Now, what happens if the government knew this, and the satellites that they put up in space and the buildings that they build on the ground all had particular effect on the patterns that resonate in the Schumann field? What if? What if the Pentagon wasn't the five-sided design for nothing? What if the Washington, D.C. was not set up in a pentagram? And if any of you have ever checked it, you will see that the design of Washington, D.C. and its major monuments fall in a pentagram that is accurately measured on all sides. You can go on Google Earth and see it yourself. I'm saying that's not a mistake. I'm saying the size and shape of the Pentagon is not a mistake. I'm saying the size and shape of an obelisk is not a mistake. The size and shape of the Vatican's dome and all that particular building design is not accidental. It has some kind of energetic effect to the people inside, affecting their frequency. Maybe those buildings are only locally oriented, but there is a way to hit the Schumann field and hit humanity as a whole, because we all connect to and from it. So you asked me what this awakening is. Well, I think since we're all connected to this, and let me just demonstrate again why I think we're all connected to a field like this. Because I don't believe in what they call instinct. Gibberish. Okay? Instinct is not what they would consider something you're born with. You're born with an antenna. Again, the spider is born with a brain that is particularly designed with that spider's genetics. And it immediately, once it's born, starts giving and taking from the field related to the tarantula spider. And it learns what it learns from that field in that area. Why do I think that? Because if you have monkeys at an underground military base and you teach them to play basketball, the monkeys at a separate underground military base 5 miles away are going to also learn how to play basketball. Well, how is that? How do they know that? But it makes sense if there's a field, right? So now you start thinking that we're in this field together, and that people who are waking up right now and starting to feel angst and feel like things just aren't okay in the matrix right now. Maybe it's because the people that are conspiring against humanity to eliminate the population, or whatever it is you think they're out to do, maybe we're getting a vibe from them that impending doom is near. And since we're all connected to this, just the same way that animals leave an area in advance of a devastating earth change, like an earthquake or a volcano, they split. I don't think that it's some vibration they feel. I think they feel a sense of danger that in some way their field has triggered them to feel. And I think what human beings are feeling right now all around the planet is an impending sense of doom, because people who are part of this field as well are conspiring to eliminate a vast majority of us. That's what I would say, I would suspect that it is. Now, you want to add shapes into this. Now, I would say that the patterning of the Schumann field, if you look at the right frequency, if you look through the right spectrometer, what you'll find is very fine patterns in fractal geometry that give you archetypal shapes and patterns. And those archetypal shapes, patterns, sounds, colors, whatever, are the things that trigger us to have creative inspiration. So if, again, I resonate with the right symphony orchestra, I'm thinking the right thoughts to get the right frequency in my brain, then I actually download, if I'm able, if there's no interference in between, to my brain, and if I'm able to, I bring it through to my hands if I've trained them. If I haven't used my hands, if I haven't learned piano, I haven't learned how to draw or whatever, then it just goes idle. Maybe it frustrates me. Maybe I go and I watch TV or smoke a joint or drink a beer. Who knows what it is, but you're frustrating that capacity. And what I have seen is that in all control mechanisms around the globe, the first thing they try and do is shut down the creative portion of your mind. You know, the best troubleshooters, the best thinkers, they have creative ability. The best fighters and samurais, they're creative. That's why they went back to, in ancient Japan, and they would teach the samurais, yes, learn how to take care of a garden, learn how to draw and paint, and do these beautiful things, because it develops creativity in you. And when you have creativity, it allows you to creatively solve problems in all realms of your life. And when we frustrate creativity, we foster destructiveness. How that destructiveness comes out may be, again, you emulating yourself, brutalizing yourself, or getting in a fight with somebody else, or wanting to see something aggressive and horrible to release this frustration you have as a consequence of murdering your creative capacity, which is what makes us powerful. And as we give that away, and as we allow that to be taken from us by the formative institutions that hit us with so much distraction, so much information, that we could never quiet our minds for long enough to let this creative ability out, then we stunt our own development and we become drones. And this is what from the first day I told you, the process that we go through these formative institutions, inevitably what they do is they're killing our creativity. And even in our downtime, what are we doing? Do we make beautiful works of art that we can leave to humanity after we go? Or do we go and watch TV like drones and watch the expression of somebody else's creativity? We watch the expression of somebody else's creativity. And unfortunately, what is that dominated by right now? A control mechanism that wants to dumb you down. So all the entertainment you watch is designed to make you an idiot. All the music you listen to, and my daughters listen to, is designed to make them over-sexualized little tramps. It's designed that way. It was designed that way based on technology and information that was guided from the Nazis. And what did the American government do with all the Nazis? Put them in prison? Face justice? No. No. Hire them. Protect them. Give them new identities. Integrate them into the intelligence service. NASA, two separate NASAs. One that was originated by von Braun, who was an ardent, hate-filled Nazi that America thought was fantastic. So now we're living with the effects of all this mind control and all the remnants of the mind control and torture that was done in World War II. Who benefited from that? The US government did. Because they hired all the maniacs that were doing that and folded them into the CIA, into the NSA, into all levels of government, and they exist today. And as I say, did they get the money from the Nazis? $65 billion? No, they didn't get the money from the Nazis. Where'd the money go? Well, it was funneled out of Germany by the exact same corporations and banks that allowed them to thrive. IG Farben, Citibank, and all these degenerate US Illuminati banks that allowed the Nazis to funnel all their money out, allowed all the corporate Nazis that profited off of and gave orders to these death camp guards, they just stepped back and said, I'm not a soldier, I work for IG Farben, don't prosecute me. And they didn't. I think they prosecuted one guy and they let him out in 2 years. And when they let him out, he became like the president of the company or something like that. I forget the exact details. This entire system is a farce. And it was funneled through the Nazi research and horrible eugenics experiments that they did, and we are dealing with the same demons that we failed to deal with after World War II today. But now they run banks and corporations and the military-industrial complex and the medical-industrial complex. Why do you think the medical-industrial complex in America is so close-minded? Because it's not about healing people. It's not. It's about Nazi technology. Hey.
What is this?
Come in and sit. You're going to learn.
Politics?
Hey, you were talking about the conservatives. I could talk about the goddamn Nazis.
Okay, sure.
Anyway.
So how can this be used against our work on that?
Well, that's an excellent question. First of all, if you really want to solve problems, the concept that we have these overlord royals and leaders, and they're not subject to any of the harsh reality they dish out to us. So they can declare war on each other, but they don't kill each other. Well, I'm in favor of targeted assassination. If you really have a problem with a guy that's murdering his people or whatever, kill him. You kill one guy, or you bomb his nation to the ground, send in soldiers, waste resources, and all these different things. Why? So our controllers feel better about the game. They can never die. It's just an infinite flow of pawns to die, and we all die for them. No, I say let's have a policy of them hitting each other, and then they can kill each other off, and then we could live peacefully.
How is that related to sugar? Just one thing.
I forgot where I was now. You got me.
Yeah. I do believe in the sugar field personally. Because, so you were saying that government in some way controls the sugar field.
I'm saying that I would stake my credibility on them knowing this, having satellites in the atmosphere that affect this, having weapon systems on the ground that manipulate weather and use energy to direct it up at that. I would say all of those things are pretty much factual. You could go back to the 50s and gather patents for this technology that's used today. It's not new. It's been around a long time.
And people use it today. Like,
sure.
Personally, I do Reiki sessions with my
cool.
And I was not aware of the name of that field, like Schumann field, but I believe that there's something related to cosmos. And that energy, we do a session, she believes it's pain, and I hear, and I feel it. I feel it in my body, and she fixed me.
Yeah.
My back pain, and I feel better. And I believe that was exchange of powers,
yeah.
Through that field. possible.
I can give you a whole bunch of information on that. Give me 2 seconds. Let me just show why the Schumann